Warp me, we're beaming into another brand new episode of Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2. Spoilers ahead as we jump into our weekly review, you have been warned. Welcome to Trek Central, I'm your host Captain Jack, and let's get right into it. Jeffrey Combs returns in episode 7 of Lower Decks Season 2, Where Pleasant Fountains Lie. Jeffrey Combs plays a sentient computer rules over a pre-warped civilization. Classic the original series. Whilst our chief engineer for Cerritos, Andy Billups, threw his engineering prowess to an old adversary, his mother. Now, if you do want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore, and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media for daily updates on the Star Trek universe. Let's start off this review with the greatness of Jeffrey Combs, because it's what he deserves. As said previously, Combs is playing a sentient intelligent computer, who has taken over a pre-warped civilization, but instead of the episode being about how our crew managed to take down the receiver computer, it's actually about how ensigns are transporting to the Daystrom Institute for storage. Very Second Contact. Because the Trek universe has an abundance of evil sentient computers, and someone has to keep them under lock and key. The story of this episode was great, obviously it had Jeffrey Combs in it, but it subverts a common Trek trope and does an interesting story about it. Mariner and Boimler get stranded on a ship graveyard planet and have to fight temptation and the constant pestering of Jeffrey Combs in order to get off the planet. We find that Mariner has been working behind Boimler's back to get him assigned to easy missions, because she doesn't view him as to be ready. Boimler definitely shows her this episode that he's ready for these tougher missions and deserves to go on them. Boimler pretends to fight against Mariner, tricking both Mariner and also the evil computer into trusting him, which he used to exploit this computer into getting a distress call sent out to Starfleet. This was a really strong episode for Boimler, and I'm glad. His experience on the Titan is definitely showing off these past couple of episodes, rising to the occasion to do what is right to save the day and even his friends. Eventually the duo even get rescued by a runabout, so what's not to love about this subject? Of course, runabouts were typically seen in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, having been assigned to the space station as small support ships until the USS Defiant came along and assumed the role of station protection and security. They make their way to Okinawa, where the Daystrom Institute is located, and it's just great to see the Okinawa Daystrom Institute just like we saw in Season 1 of Star Trek Picard, with the weird floating base above the sea and everything. Some really great connectivity there, even if it's just a visual. But Jeffrey Combs is locked up with all the other maniacal sentient computers and is just left there. I'm surprised they don't join forces and take over, but they're so egotistical it probably would never happen. It's also nice just seeing the Daystrom Institute logo there, which some of us just adore here at TC. An interesting thought I had while watching this episode is that the planet that Boimler and Mariner crashed on is very similar to a planet called Iego, which is surrounded by a laser field in the Star Wars universe. Similar to how in this episode the planet the duo crashed on had some sort of laser field that caused starships to crash.
Oh, just kick back, man. Enjoy the trip. After we drop this thing off, we'll grab some Okinawa ramen. Whoa, sensors say we hit a gravimetric shear.
Oh no, we're in the gravity well. Try manual controls. Auto is out.
No response. Brake for impact.
Now we come to the other subplot, which I enjoyed, but with some mixed feelings. We get some more info about the chief engineer of the Cerritos, Lieutenant Commander Andy Billups, and he's actually a prince of a planet which is colonized by Renaissance fair types. Which know how people in Trek do love to dress up on the holodecks. I'm not surprised there is a Renfair planet out there, I mean come on. They obviously have warp gyres as their colonizers, but to keep up their medieval looks they refer to everything in medieval fancy terms. The warp engines being dragon breath engines, and the engineers being referred to as blacksmiths. With Billups being a prince, it is somehow written into law that when the heir to the throne loses their virginity, they take up the crown of the planet and become its ruling monarch. An interesting system, but okay. Now apparently Billups is proud to be a virgin, as it means he can do what he loves, and there's being an engineer in Starfleet. However, his mother is not happy with this and tries to trick Billups into having sex, even resorting to blowing up part of her own ship and pretending that herself and Rutherford blew up in the accident to go her son into becoming the monarch of the Renfair world. This plot was alright, it did have its moments, but it wasn't the best in my opinion. The moral of this story from Rutherford's point of view was that, I guess, working outside of your comfort zone may prevent dangers, but in the end it's rewarding, I guess? Maybe? I don't know. Having a planet being colonized by Renfair types does seem plausible and very the original series Star Trek, but the concept of Renfair, at least in the sense of people acting like medieval people, isn't a very American concept. As someone from the UK, where Renfairs of the nature doesn't really happen, I don't really have much to connect with it. It'll be very interesting to see how people from the US who frequent Renfairs were on this episode in any case. If you are, let us know what you think. All in all, this was a very enjoyable episode. It was great having Jeffrey Combs return to add his voice to the mix and playing a sentient evil computer. It's definitely something new that you can add to his Trek repertoire. I did worry that the Marin and Boimler plot was going to be a quite standard dynamic between the two, but was pleasantly surprised. The tension between the two felt forced while I was watching, and that's because it was meant to be since Boimler was tricking the computer all along, so it did make sense in the end. And speaking about the Renfair subplot, it was okay. Enjoyable, but just okay. Its jokes are funny, and it was an interesting idea, but it didn't just feel 100% right. Perhaps it's because we're not totally used to this type of add-on material within the Star Trek universe. Personally, I don't mind it, but I can see how some might not be a big fan of this little story point. Ensign Tendi was almost absent from this episode. Halfway through I kind of forgot she was even in the episode. Like us just focused more on Rutherford, Boimler and Mariner, rather than Tendi herself. You know, thinking more about this episode, the opening totally got my attention with the introduction of Chief Engineer Andy Billups' mother. He's a character we've not seen many times throughout the series of Lower Decks, so his appearances are always something. Seeing him being expanded like this is really cool, and I hope other characters in the show get it as well.
Raise a glass to King Anderithio, who at this very moment is destroying his virginity!
What? No! Billups loves his virginity!
There's also a little joke about the Starfleet phaser rifle variations that kinda got me, because what is the difference between those phaser rifles? Yes, we do actually know the difference, but between them, the joke is lighthearted at the same time. And one last thing to touch on, character development. We've really seen how well Boimler has developed in the 2 seasons of Lower Decks so far. His character development really speaks for itself, especially due to his experiences on the USS Titan under Captain William Riker. His instincts to pretend to fight Mariner and to trick her, both the evil computer, say a lot.
Boimler! Don't jump out at people, for real, man. You're lucky I didn't phaser you.
You're selling Federation weapons to these guys, aren't you?
Yo, calm down.
No! I'm sick of you pushing me around. Explain yourself right here.
Boims, you need to shut up. Listen to me. You know nothing. Shut your mouth.
We're just gonna take off.
Nobody move!
Okay, there we go, man. Yeah, see? I told you to be okay.
My bones.
You'll be fine. Doc will wave a light over it. We gotta get back to camp. You took way too long with that thing.
But I'm naked. Stop! Don't make me do this.
Oh, please. Like you would ever have the guts to...
You fool! You trusted me!
Nah, I used you.
What?
I've been using your power cell to send a distress signal. You were too busy scheming to notice. You've been boimed. Buddy, we're not even near the nav console. All you control is the dimmer switch.
But I...
Boims, what? No, I totally thought you were siding with this thing.
Yeah, sorry I lied and stunned you. I just needed him to trust me so he'd let me access his battery.
Oh, look at you. Who's the evil computer now, huh?
Don't forget that if you want to watch Star Trek Lower Decks, then you can watch it every Thursday on Paramount Plus for US viewers and CTV Sci-Fi/Crave for Canadian viewers. If you're international, then Amazon Prime is your best place. That's our weekly review of Star Trek Lower Decks. Don't forget to let us know your thoughts and opinions via the comment section below, because if you're talking about Star Trek, then we want to hear about it. Of course, if you do want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media or join our community Discord server. For now, I've been Captain Jack. Thanks for watching our weekly review of Star Trek Lower Decks. We'll see you this time next week, and good times. Live long and prosper, my friends. Goodbye.